Mystery is eliminated from the tournament. Lil Bo had been knocked down to the losers bracket yesterday. Sorry about that. A lot of casting today, a lot of solo casting, but let's get into the map picks, guys. Our first map here is going to be Dusk Towers. That is Flash's pick. JaeDong for the second map has chosen Orena, and that means our final map by default is Prion Terraces. So these are some of the more popular maps that we've seen here in Legacy of the Void since the launch of the new game. They're kind of more standard-ish maps. Obviously, none of these maps are super standard. Orena with that short rush distance makes Banshees powerful, but Dusk Towers with the pocket third base, or the wide ramp into the third base rather, but the pocket natural, kind of feels the most standard. We'll have to see what these players want to do, if they want to try to defend that wide natural ramp, if they want to factor in that and instead go for two base aggression, or perhaps they have something else completely unexpected up their sleeves. We're going to have to wait until we get into the map to find out. Once again, guys, this is Flash and JaeDong. Get on social media. Get on the Twitters, the Reddits, the Facebooks. Call your mom. Call your dad. Tell them Flash and JaeDong are playing in a Legacy of the Void tournament to kick off this new era of StarCraft 2. So let's go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning in the top of the map, we have our Blue Zerg playing for Team Evil Geniuses. It is JaeDong. Sitting there in that booth looking very focused, very ready. Spawning in our bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have our Red Terran for Team KT Rolster. It is Flash. You can see both players just kind of warming up, getting ready to get into this game, guys. And I want to talk a little bit about the history behind Flash and JaeDong. Obviously, they have a long and storied rivalry back in Brood War, a nearly 50% win rate against each other. They were the two most dominant players at the time. JaeDong, of course, called the Tyrant, Flash the Tyrant Killer. And they went on to just kind of butt heads in the finals of many a tournament. But in StarCraft 2, they really don't have a lot of history. They did play each other back in 2012. In the up and downs, JaeDong managed to win. JaeDong seemed to adapt a lot quicker to Heart of the Swarm, to StarCraft 2 in general, compared to Flash. JaeDong had an amazing 2013 shortly after his transition when he was still living in that EGTL house. Whereas Flash kind of took longer to get going, but he then had a great 2014, dominating in Pro League, winning that IEM Toronto, and both of them have kind of struggled since then. I would say Flash kind of the favored player in this series, but once again, it's a new game, and JaeDong was very strong at the beginning of Wings of Liberty. Let's see if his sharp mind, great mechanics, and champion mindset are enough to take him to victory over our KT Rolster Terran. I do want to point out that JaeDong has gone for the more front-facing natural. That is going to be a bit more vulnerable to anything Flash might choose to do, but it does give him the pocket base as his third, which is obviously more defensible. If JaeDong can get away with this, it's going to end up being very nice for him. Both these players not doing anything too crazy just yet. Giving each other kind of the respect that one would think they deserve after years of rivalry, after trading off head-to-head and meeting for the first time in so long. They did play a show match at Nada's wedding recently, but I think everyone knows a show match is kind of different than playing someone in a 1v1 tournament setting with so much money on the line. These guys are just absolute legends, and I couldn't be happier to be here. JaeDong going up to a quick layer. Looks like he might be favoring a Mutalisk strategy. Let's see how many gases he's taken. We don't see enough. Okay, and there we go. That's the gas. It looks like JaeDong is going to go for that 2-base Muta, would be my guess. Based on that, he's continuing to drone heavily. Would be vulnerable to some aggression from Flash. These Hellions are going to start to pop out. And he's going to have to go in and try to get some damage done before JaeDong has his Mutalisks out. The first Hellion now is moving across the map of Flash. He's going out, able to take some map control. JaeDong doesn't really have anything he could do about this, even if he had Lings out. I don't know how well it would be to try to take that fight off creep. The Hellions, of course, very effective against Zerglings, as long as they aren't caught. Flash poking up at the creep of JaeDong, pulling back, not ready to commit into anything with just the two Hellions, and JaeDong throws his Spire down, getting ready to transition into this big Mutalisk play. JaeDong is a guy who's just very known for his clean Mutalisk micro, great mechanics, translate really well into solid Mutalisk play, and he's going to have, I think, a good chance to really do some damage with this. These Hellions poke away at the Queens, not wanting to stand and fight for too long. Obviously, Queens are pretty good against Hellions. They're beefy units. They throw those darts at them. And JaeDong does have some Zerglings in reserve if Flash gets a little too ambitious on the creep. Flash going to go home for at least the moment. That scan does not see the Spire. Flash doesn't know what's going on. The gas may have tipped him off, but he may be expecting some other timings. We've seen Flash did not look super comfortable in Zerg versus Terran when he was playing Ayasunu the other day. Well, all this is going on, JaeDong's Spire is just about to finish up, and he's got enough money in the bank to make almost 10 Mutalisks here, guys. We have the first 8 popping out right away, +1 attack. This is going to be a lot of damage potential here for JaeDong if he can control this attack correctly. Really set him up to control the pace of the game. Flash, though, does have turrets going down in his mineral lines and production. JaeDong behind this, throwing down his evolution chambers, his baneling nest, getting ready to go into kind of a standard playstyle right behind this. These Mutalisks pop out on the map. They're going to take that path that is unlikely to get scouted, and are now starting to cut towards the base of Flash, seeing if they can find any kind of damage here. Flash's units are at the 3rd base, guarding that. There are turrets in the mineral protecting the production. A 4th turret does go down, trying to defend this 3rd. JaeDong getting on top of it, not wanting to fight this Marine Ball. He needs to get out of there with those Mutalisks. It would be dangerous to stay around. Does not want to throw those resources away. Looking to try to pick something off for free. These medevacs come out from Flash. The missile turret going to ward away this Mutalisk attack. And JaeDong has essentially been thwarted with these very expensive quick Mutalisk commitment. He's going to need to use them now for map control to make sure he is constantly aware of where Flash is, threaten counterattacks. He does not want to take a fight on his side of the map right now, guys. He does juke past the army. He's forcing Flash to make some uncomfortable decisions. Flash choosing to walk across the map while the Mutalisks begin to engage the mineral line of Flash. Picking off 3 SCVs is JaeDong as these Marines prepare to step on a creep, peppering down, DPSing down that Queen. Flash not scanning to clean up that creep, and he does drop that scan, cleaning up the creep, pushing further on as JaeDong fights small pockets of Marines with these Mutalisks, trading not super cost effectively out with them. These Marines moving around, cleaning up all of this creep. JaeDong having very nice creep spread, but creep recedes very quickly in Legacy of the Void, guys. We're going to see the results of Flash's cleanup there very quickly. JaeDong moving up here, picking off these supply depots, looking a little bit sloppy and scrappy from both of these players here, guys. These Widow Mines stepping forward, going to perhaps get a burrow off as Flash picks off the 3rd supply depot, or JaeDong rather picks off the 3rd supply depot of Flash. This is a gnarly supply block, and it looks like JaeDong stepping out on the map, perhaps trying to continue to make Flash uncomfortable. JaeDong is a guy whose Ling run-bys will catch you if you're not paying attention. He's just so fast, so mechanically sound. And he's been playing that kind of lifestyle since the beginning of StarCraft 2, where he just is willing to just pump Lings right into your mineral line. He's willing to use APM his attention on that, but at the same time, Flash is marching across the map with a very big parade push of Marine Hellbat medevac, and it's going to be up to JaeDong to hold off on this advance. Does not want to be engaging those Marines with the Mutalisks, pulling back right away as his Baneling roll in as speed finishes up. He's going to knock down this wall with the Banelings, doesn't even need to, gets the wraparound on these Marines to take up a nice position against this factory. Banelings flooding into the mineral line. Flash with the beautiful pickup, forcing JaeDong to commit to something else, possibly use these Banelings to knock down the wall. Does not want to waste them on that. These medevacs keeping the SCVs safe in the air above JaeDong's Banelings, darting around, kiting around with them. JaeDong looking for a cost-effective way to use his Banelings, does not want to have them just all be kind of picked off while rolling around looking for something to hit, and they get funneled into that choke. The Marines able to target them down brilliantly. Great great target firing from JaeDong, or from Flash rather, to the banelings of JaeDong as these Mutalisks dart back in, looking for some damage to cause. This mineral line is not particularly exposed, but the first turret falls quite quickly. The SCVs do the repair hug on the second turret. Flash holding these advances quite solidly, I would say. And now, as we kind of move into the next stage of the game, Flash is ahead in upgrades. Drilling Claws is on the way, which is going to help those Widow Mines take up offensive positions on top of the creep. He's got basically all the tech he could dream for. JaeDong still going up to that 2-2, also getting 2 air, adding on to the Mutalisk count, getting that infestation pit so we can go up to Hive, and just flooding out some more Zerglings. Got another Queen. And JaeDong also, this is going into a very solid mid-game type of game that I think everyone really wants to see from Flash and JaeDong here today. This SCV, or this medevac, getting into the mineral line, but JaeDong does have Zerglings ready to greet it. He will shoo away any kind of drops that might happen. Flash boosting perhaps into the third of JaeDong, hoping to find some damage. Both of these guys playing so fast, so clean. The first Marines start to get dropped as Zerglings are able to get right on top of them, getting the wraparound, doing some damage. A drone that is out in the wild for JaeDong does get cleaned up by Flash, who drops right on top of it with these Marines. Nom nom nom, a tasty drone snack. And Flash is starting to add in Thors, which are going to really threaten that Mutalisk cloud, make it less useful in direct engagements, and kind of serve as a hard anchor to the army. Catching this medevac will be really nice. I think it's going to run out of boost before it runs out of air. JaeDong is able to snatch it, but Flash moves in with the Widow Mines. Drilling tons is done, so the burrow so quickly, guys. And remember, this is Legacy of the Void. These bases are all starting to line out. JaeDong is already completely mined in his base. Great Widow Mine hits go off in the natural mineral line of JaeDong. 13 drones now have fallen as Flash is now triggered to push out in a kind of parade push type formation. Looks like he is choosing instead now to fall back and consolidate his forces. JaeDong is maxed out. He is waiting for this +2 for his Mutalisk to finish. He's getting an Ultralisk Cavern, which is going to be so useful fighting that bio, giving him the AoE that is not a suicide unit, obviously. Widow Mine does go off on top of that Overseer. Taking a hit really nicely is the Overlord of JaeDong. Alright, and these guys are both going to kind of take a breath for just a moment. JaeDong trying to regain the control of his area, get his creeps spread back out, that kind of thing. Flash at the same time is gathering up his army, moving towards that perfect 3-3 composition. JaeDong, though, not as far behind in upgrades as you would normally expect a Zerg to be. At this point in the game, the 2-2 is normally where the Zerg thrives in these middling fights, but he is going up to 3-3. He is going to be able to take fights as cost effectively as possible, adding on chitinous armor for his Ultralisks, which are a lot better in Legacy of the Void. Flash picking up that Thor would have been vulnerable if it was still in the air when these Mutalisks started in, but instead the Mutas eat a big volley of Thor shots. Darting back in, trying to find vulnerabilities, but Flash has built a lot of missile turrets, guys, and missile turrets are pretty good against Mutalisks. They shoot up, Mutalisks are up, and that does not end well when you try to face off against them. As JaeDong in this situation, he is looking for any kind of vulnerability. Needs to be incredibly careful if he's going to fight near these Marines. If one of those Widow Mines buried, it could do so much damage to the flock of Mutalisks of JaeDong. Losing those Mutas, each one is so critical at this point in the game, guys. Mutas are very expensive units. It looks like Flash moving in for a great position, trying to get on top of this fourth base of JaeDong. So many drones could fall to this damage at the same time. JD goes into a counterattack position, sending drones into the planetary mineral line of Flash and sending more Zerglings into the natural. This is going to be an incredibly powerful run by if Flash is not paying attention. It looks like he is trying to pull his SCVs away as these Zerglings get on top of it. 12 SCVs have fallen compared to just the 2 drones of JaeDong. JaeDong is pulling Flash apart as best he can. Mutalisk getting on top of all of those SCVs. Flash is triggered into an attack. JaeDong has his Banelings pre-sped. Very good detonations for the first one. The second wave of Banelings not crashing quite as effectively. JaeDong is moving in with everything he has. He's trying to crush this attack. So many SCVs of Flash have fallen. If he can hold here, JaeDong is in a great position. This Ultralisk gets on top of these Marines, but falls very quickly to the DPS of Flash. These Banelings crashing into Flash's army. JaeDong trying so hard. He just needs to clean this army up once and he'll be in a great position, but all of a sudden these units are on top of his fourth. JaeDong looking so vulnerable to this army of Flash, which is anchored by these Thors and Marauders. Banelings come crashing in from the sides. JaeDong able to clean this up, trying to magic box these Thors with the Mutalisks. Not a cost-effective fight for him, but the only one he can take at this time. Ultralisks have popped, and JaeDong is fighting this army as best he can, but Flash's units are continuing to parade push across the map. These Speedlings able to get on top of these Marines, focus them down without the healing power of the medevacs. They are oh so vulnerable. One Widowmine hit does go off on top of these Mutalisks. Not sure how much damage it got because they were out of sight. These Zerglings getting the wraparound on the Marines, which are kiting back against this army of Ultralisk Mutalisk. So powerful, so tech heavy, so gas heavy from JaeDong. He wants to make something happen right here. Crashing into this army. Flash calls GG, and EG's JaeDong takes the first map. Oh man, guys, that was an awesome game. It looked like Flash had almost broken JaeDong, but he managed to stabilize. He managed to consolidate his forces and was able to push through and take his revenge against Flash. What a terrific first game. I can't think of any way I would have rather had this go. Both these guys looking very serious in their booth. JaeDong knows it's far from over, guys. Oh man, I'm excited to see we've got almost 2,000 viewers in on this stream. I'm so happy, guys. EG's JaeDong takes map number 1, and I couldn't be happier about this. It's so late, and I'm happy to see so many people. I know these time zones are absolutely terrible for basically everyone here. Urinal is the next map. I just said urinal. I'm getting kind of tired. Clearly, the next map is Ulrina. Alright guys, and we are getting ready to go into Ulrina. If EG's JaeDong can win here, he will advance into the next round of the tournament, knocking Flash out. If, however, Flash can win, this will go to Game 3, and I have a feeling a lot of people are hoping to see 3 games out of these two titans. They have 2 of the biggest fan bases in the world. JaeDong, of course, representing the Korean diaspora, those that chose to leave Korea seeking fame, fortune, and adventure elsewhere, playing for evil geniuses. Flash, of course, the kind of archetypical Kesmut player, staying in the KT Rolster Dreamhouse training. But it's time to introduce our players. So spawning in the lower left-hand corner, playing for Team Evil Geniuses, he is up 1 map. It is JaeDong. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, playing for Team KT Rolster. He needs your support. Send him your energy, guys. It is Flash. JaeDong is absolutely gotta be feeling good after this map. I think when most people looked at it, they said Flash right now, he's a GSL player, he's a Pro League player, he has the benefit of training inside a Kespa team house. He's got KT Rolster, who are of course one of the best teams in the world, pouring their support, pouring their love into him. And I think he's the favorite guy. So for JaeDong to come in and just play so solid, so clean, to show that, hey man, no matter what happens, I'm still JaeDong. I can still reach deep inside, practice hard, and come out and beat players that people say, oh, you're washed up, JaeDong. Well, look what I can do. So once again, both of these guys showing each other quite a bit of respect, choosing to open with strategies that are going to go into the longer game, wanting to give the fans the best kind of epic match possible, nothing that's going to end super quickly here at the Golden Professional League. JaeDong did lose to Flash at their recent show match at Nada's wedding, but I think when you have a guy like JaeDong and a guy like Flash, you can't say in a show match that that's super important, because these guys they're true champions, and for like a champion like that, like a show match, obviously you're going to try, like whatever money you might win is nice, but it's not the same as playing in like a prestigious tournament. You're not going to put your heart and soul into it the same way. And JaeDong and Flash are guys where heart and soul is going to matter maybe more than anything else here. Oh, man. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you're just getting in because you're here for the Flash JaeDong hype, just to let you know, guys, this is the Golden Professional League. It's the first big offline event in StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. It takes place in Shanghai, China. There's $42,000 of prize money up for grabs, and you're watching Flash versus JaeDong, two of the best Brood War players in Brood War history. Two guys that have stayed relevant in StarCraft 2, continue tearing things up in WCS and GSL respectively. And JaeDong gonna go for this Roach Warren. Maybe he's seen some of these very powerful Roach Ravager timings. Snoot and Lilbo used a Roach Ravager timing against JaeDong and Flash yesterday, and it's going to be interesting to see if JaeDong can be more successful, because JaeDong and Flash in the Archon tournament were able to shut that down. These Zerglings darting up the ramp, trying to get some starting information, deflected by the bunker. 8 Roaches on the way, guys. This is going to be a lot of aggression. Flash has one bunker with one single unit in it. He needs to identify what's coming, or JaeDong could come in like a wrecking ball. As these first Roaches start to walk across the map, they will be scouted by this Hellion if they take a typical path. So this should be a trigger for Flash to go into full-fledged panic mode. Let's see what his response is going to be. A Marauder does start getting made immediately as JaeDong starts morphing in Ravagers. Second bunker does go up at the front. This is going to help Flash. These bunkers are going to be the anchor of his defense. That command center is going to act as a bit of a Sim City, force them to walk into a funnel if he chooses to leave it there. The Roach Ravager army is coming up. Corrosive Biles are going to try to land on the bunker. Should be able to get it without too much trouble. A lot of burst damage coming out there. These SCVs are repairing, hugging it with their claws. Corrosive Bile can be put on the SCVs or the bunker. Let's see if there's going to be enough burst damage here. 4 SCVs do fall, and it looks like this bunker will be forfeit. Flash forced to retreat to more defensive positions. More Corrosive Biles do get fired on this bunker. A lot of damage goes down. Chipping away at the supply depot is JaeDong with this Roach Ravager army. I think he may have overmade Ravagers just a bit here. The Ravagers are very vulnerable, and this Siege Tank is going to be so useful. The Corrosive Biles, though, could land on top of it. Siege Tanks are very vulnerable to that type of attack. JaeDong looking like he is going to get on top of it, and suddenly Flash has almost no defense. JaeDong choosing to stay in the natural of Flash, where he can do damage to the units that are trickling down. These Marines are forfeit. One Ravager does fall, though, to a great target firing from Flash. JaeDong looking a bit indecisive as this Siege Tank pops. It comes down, is going to try to take up any kind of defensive position that it can. JaeDong kiting away with these Ravagers. Flash down to 21 workers as JaeDong takes his third, goes up into layer, and looks to move into something more interesting. 17 SCVs is a lot of SCVs, but I'm not sure if it's enough for that committed, that early of an attack where JaeDong has really strangled his own economy. This Siege Tank going to push the Ravager away. One last Corrosive Bile does go down, bringing the SCV fallen count to 20. What a powerful attack from JaeDong. Now let's see what Flash can do to try to climb back into this game. He's making 3 SCVs at a time. He wants to recover his economy. Triple Orbital allows him to drop a lot of mules. Terran is kind of a very resilient race. If you're able to survive, if you're able to hold on, you can claw back in very strongly, the best you can. JaeDong going up to that 1-1 range attack. He is committing harder into some kind of Roach, Hydra, or Ravager composition or tech. Roach speed is on the way, which indicates, of course, that it will be further Roach aggression. It's going to allow him to bulk up his army very quickly. Fighting into the Siege Tanks of Flash is always a difficult proposition, but if you can land your Corrosive Biles, you can really kind of out-siege the Terran at their own game. These Marines push away the Overseer. as JaeDong is now adding on his 4th hatchery. He's ready to go into further economy. We're gonna have to see what he does. Perhaps he's gonna try to max on the cheap lower tech units. This Overlord pooping out creep, absolutely disgusting, but great for denying this command center. Creep does recede faster in Legacy of the Void, and that does apply to Overlord poop, as you can see there. The roaches are starting to come out. JaeDong's supply count is crawling, but he is supply blocked right now, making 5 overlords now. That's actually a really gnarly supply block, but he's opening up a lot. 7 overlords. He's opening up a lot of supply. I think he's going to go into a very committed, maxed out or near maxed out Roach Ravager attack. The 1-1 finishing could be his trigger to go for this. We do see him morphing in 5 Ravagers right now, guys. This is going to be so powerful. Flash is going to need to rely on these siege tanks. They're going to be very critical for the defense. JaeDong knocking down the wall. He's going to come in, sweep in, and try to take the 3rd before Flash is in correct defensive positions. They used to call Flash the map hack Terran, and you can see as soon as JaeDong knocked down that walls, Flash started moving into a better posture to defend this 3rd base. Let's see, it's going to come down to the corrosive vials. Each tank shot is so damaging against this Roach Ravager army. The first tank falls, only getting 1 volley off. The second one falls after a 2nd volley. JaeDong now able to zone Flash out, taking up a terrific position between the natural and 3rd of Flash. Corrosive vials go up. He can pick off 14 SCVs, 18, 19, 21, 22 have fallen. GG! EG's JaeDong takes this 2-0. What a terrific showing by the Dong. Guys, that has been it for the GSL, or the GPL rather, tonight. Thank you so much for joining and watching me. If you enjoyed this cast, you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is I'll put it right here in chat. You know what? There's no point in putting it in chat. If you like this cast, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm gonna put it right up here. What an incredible game. Guys, I can't believe it just went down like that. Wow. I really hope you guys had as much fun tonight as I did, because that was absolutely incredible. Wow. My throat is absolutely wrecked. You can see that little rocket ship goes across whenever there's like donations and subscribers and stuff, and the Flash JaeDong hype brings the subscribers, guys. This has been the GPL International Tournament. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back Saturday, and we are going to be back. Saturday's the last day, I do believe. The best of 5s will start Friday. Tomorrow is still more best of 3s. Flash is out of the tournament, but if you want to see him, if you want to see Flash, Flash continuing to play, him and JaeDong are in an Archon together, so you can catch them. They are, I believe, in the winners finals of the Archon tournament, waiting to face their opponent. We're gonna see some highlights from this, and then I'll run a commercial, and then I will be going to bed. Thank you guys so much for joining me once again. Wow, this is it's been a lot of fun, guys.
给我们带来精彩表现的所有选手们，最后还是要恭喜他们，因为全力以赴，所以赢得了今天比赛的胜利。恭喜 IA 与 Shadow 的组合 LotV 以及JaeDong赢下了今天比赛的胜利，他们的表现的确是非常的精彩。那么距离总冠军的诞生呢，只有2天的时间了。选手们，请你们全力以赴，赢下我们本次黄金国际挑战赛最高荣耀吧！那么一起来看一下我们明天的赛程究竟是怎样给我们带来的呢？一起来看一下大屏幕。好的，那么明天的中午12点。
Okay, guys, so this is going to be the schedule for tomorrow. We're going to have Snoot and Lobo versus IA and Shauna. That is the Archon losers bracket. Then we may have another Archon match after that, or it's going to be 1v1. That's to be decided depending on the schedule. And then we've got Snoot versus Ayasono. That's going to be another winners match. The winner of that will go on to the winners grand finals. Then that's a show match. That's a caster versus F91. Those guys are both casters. They're both Masters GMs. That could be a lot of fun. And then Lobo versus JaeDong. Thank you once again for joining me, guys. I'm going to run some commercials. Then I'm going to find a cool stream to host. And then I'm going to get some sleep. 1:30, I'm guessing.
Maybe we can.